What's up guys, Petko here. Welcome to yet again another video coming in for Season 2. Today we're going to talk about the most recent dungeon changes that came I think 12 hours ago, 13 hours ago. Most definitely very notable nerfs. 5th nerfs in a row for all the dungeons, which I'm pretty happy to say so. Keep in mind that the Season 2 will arrive in the first week of March, so next week is the patch week, the week after will be the Season 2, so potentially there's a room for a lot more changes to be implemented. Anyway, enough talking, let's dive in. Alright, so starting first with the Rookery. First thing first, Quartermaster Quartzite, the first mini-boss to the dungeon. They made Bounding Void cooldown increased. That mini-boss was already the easiest, doesn't really matter. I guess it's gonna be easier. Consuming Void Stones is gonna, the damage is gonna go from 1% to 2, doesn't really matter, doesn't change anything. Erupting Darkness, that is the this mini boss right here. I guess it kind of is mini boss because it's like the hardest mob in a dungeon, which is only in the last area. They made the Erupting Darkness, which is their visual on the ground, their projectile, slower cast time, which is gonna make it easier for you to dodge mechanics, which I'm pretty big fan of. And this is something that I didn't really find out what the heck that is. Unruly Stormbrook Energized Barrage is no longer interruptible. I tried to find what that is, and it's either gonna be the first area those lighting guys that do AoE damage that you cannot interrupt them anymore, which is pretty much fine because you never pull more than one anyway, and you can just use defensives. Or it's the final area where the Storm Rider Vokmar is doing the hammer and shit. I think it's gonna be like the first area. I'm like 99% sure that you can't kick Barrage anymore, but I haven't tested it yet. I'll jump on and test it out. Curious, that is the first boss so far. It seems like Lightning Torrent, which is the 4 beams, are gonna be either clockwise or counterclockwise. Doesn't change anything. Still the easiest boss ever. And they implemented some visual updates, which makes the boss a lot more pleasurable to play, and it's easier for the melees to see where exactly they have to get away from. So thumbs up on that one. Stormguard Goren is the second boss. Chaotic Explosion. Which I tried to find so hard what that is. So if you take a look at what that is, Chaotic Explosion is right here. It does damage on impact within 6 yards of it, which in my opinion, this is either going to be something to do with, wherever he jumps in and does damage around the target, or something else. I'm not sure what that is. I tried to look for the journal. There's nothing there. I guess we just gotta play it and figure it out, but something has been removed, which makes the encounter now easier. It could also be the AoE explosion that you get upon his jump. Could that be? Could also be the suck-in, which I don't think that's the suck-in damage. It's something else. Chaotic Vulnerability reduced from 20 to 10 seconds. That's pretty much to make sure that several party members can get in and soak debuff, or the same party member can also do it back-to-back, for example. However, they increased the damage from 100 to 300%, which means if you get it 2 back-to-back, you might end up dying because of this. So you wanna always juggle debuff. One debuff to another person, then, swap to the third person, then get back to the first. Like 3-man rotation instead of 2-man rotation, I think. That probably was gonna be more appropriate. I mean, I guess only tank could soak twice, or if you have an immunity, maybe. Courage Reality cooldown has been increased, and the reality tier area denial it leaves behind no longer grows. That is the debuff that it leaves as soon as he jumps in, so now it doesn't grow, which makes the encounter easier. And Crush Reality, I think that's the suck-in effect that you are doing. Let me just check again. Crush Reality, yeah, that is the second effect that the boss was doing. That really made it difficult, so now it's gonna appear less often, which for me is much better. Okay, Voice Soul Monstrosity. This is the last boss here, if you have seen so far. Stun Banner charge duration increased from 9 to 12 seconds, so longer stun, good stuff. It's gonna make the encounter shorter, and enter with damage got nerfed. Overall, good changes to Rookery, even though I guess the biggest change is the second boss. Going forward to the Darkflame Cleft, notoriously the hardest dungeon so far. They made the timer shorter, from 34, 33 minutes, 1 minute, whatever. Enemy forces required updated. Now, does that mean you gotta kill less mobs or more? I will update you tonight or after testing. I believe that it will probably mean that you have to play less forces, because previously you pretty much kill the whole dungeon to get the count that you need. So that's if that's the case, good stuff. The card movement speed reduction has been increased while there is an enemy nearby. That's actually pretty good because the card was actually so fast in combat that ranged DPS couldn't even do any damage because they had to stay always within a circle. So overall, very good quality of life change. Shuffling Horror and Creeping Horror, enemy forces value to reduced. I believe those are the mobs in the last area. That's good. Soot Snout and Torture Snorro are the mini bosses before the third boss. Forces value increased. You always played those anyway, so that's good stuff. Blazicon is the second boss. No longer immediately cast Blazing Storms after players are pushed in. That's gonna make it easier for the healers because Dousing Breath was the AoE damage coming from Darkflame Cleft second boss Blazicon. So now there's gonna be delay in between spells, which is gonna make it easier for your heal to top you up. So overall, very good changes. The Candle King is arguably the hardest boss so far across all dungeons, and they didn't do anything to nerf it. Now the AoE damage coming from the wax statues are really, really tough, and I think I haven't been able to be properly healed from any other heal except Disc and Mistweaver. Every other heal is struggling right now with it, especially on like 14, 15 keys on PTR. So probably it's gonna get nerfed in the near future. Molten Wax radius reduced by 20. That's gonna make it easier, which you can, you know, I guess clear them quicker. Also, this boss has a bug that sometimes doesn't give you the circles that clear the wax statues. So I've already said this on stream multiple times and reported it. Sadly, they haven't really done anything. Cinderbrew Midori. Bank Busby, it's the second or third boss, I guess, depends on the route you want to go. Honey Marinade duration changed from 90 seconds, changed to 90 seconds, and abilities cooldown increased. Okay, so that's gonna make it easier because you're gonna have like a much bigger radius in between spells, which again is gonna create pockets of dead time, which you can kill the boss easier. I guess less HP is intrusive. Overall good stuff. I don't think Bank Busby was a hard boss by any means, but they made it now much easier. I'll take that. Last boss, Lady Hail, damage reduced by 38. Very good change. That itself did a lot of damage, especially if you had a debuff in between going with the Lady Hail. For the people that do not know, I'm going to show you right now. This last boss, Lady Hail, right here, did AoE damage to the whole party, which I'm pretty happy that they are nerfing that by 38%. And then the Bunk B boss is this right here. They made all the spells have bigger cooldowns, which means your healer will have easier time healing this, although I don't think, once again, it is a hard boss. Going to Priory of the Sacred Flame, notoriously one of the hardest dungeons as well. Okay, so I believe this is one of the mini bosses. Let me just check again. Priory, right here. Yeah, one of the mini bosses, I believe. The Aether Dunemaw Ember Storm damage reduced by 37%. Yeah, this is the one. Here we go. Which is actually pretty good. That nerf is pretty good. Now you might want to actually go to the you want to go to the left side and go for the priest instead of going right side and going for Forge Master Damien. You know, maybe it's gonna make it easier this way. Overall, this is pretty good. I love it. Missile travel time also increased from 2 to 3 seconds, easier to dodge. Baron Brawn Pike Hammer of Purified Missile Speed increased from 2 to 3 seconds. That is the second boss. Whenever he spawns a hammer that swings round, now he's gonna have longer time until the hammers appear. Better quality of life updates for melee players to dodge it. So overall good stuff. I'm surprised that they didn't nerf this mini boss here. Forge Master Damien is an absolute menace, by the way. It does insane damage, and I'm so like intrigued, or I guess surprised that they haven't really fixed it. So we'll see. Priory's Murphy is the last boss of the dungeon. Right here. Seems like duration is reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. That's a Purify. It's gonna make it slightly easier for the healer to heal. Overall good stuff. Theater of Pain, one of the easiest dungeons so far. I'm very happy to say this. 1 minute timer reduced. I don't think that has to do anything with it. It's whatever. I mean, it's already easy dungeon. Blight Sludge Spewers were the small mobs, I believe, that appeared like this month, right? No, there wasn't that. Are those? Aha. So those mobs here, they casted the Important Withering Discharge, which is actually a cast that you don't want to let it go through. What happened to them? Now cast Decaying Field as well. Okay, whatever. I mean, that is a secondary cast. If you have any spare interrupts, go for it. Last boss, Mordreta, adds damage increased by 50, and dead boss now is gonna be increased by 140%. Okay, so I don't know about this change. That would make last boss hard. That means you wanna actually stay close together and crowd control the adds every time they spawn up, which is gonna make it difficult, especially when there's like a second effect and an AoE on the ground, you know? So very interesting change here for last boss. They try to make it harder, especially with the adds having 50% more health. We'll see how it's gonna play out. Workshop. Kujo is the second boss so far. Blazing Chomp periodic damage reduced by 30 and the spell damage reduced by 20. Okay, so I've already spoken about this many times, but I'm very happy they decided to do it as well. They're making this boss, the bite itself, very much easier for the tank and for the group. So overall, super good changes for Kujo. Keep it up. King Mechagon is the final boss. Cutting Beam periodic damage increased by 33. I think that was to be warranted because that beam didn't do any damage. So overall, good stuff for Workshop as well. I feel like its quality of life changes now. Motherlode is the final boss, final dungeon changes here. Crawler mines are the mines after the third boss here appearing. Health reduced by 33, very good change. I've already spoken about this. I think they had like a 60 million health on like plus 13, which pretty much indicates that the mines itself weren't really credible count because you had to spend so much time to kill one mine for only one count, which is 0.12%. Nothing. So yeah. Hope to see further nerfs to the mines as well. I don't like those at all. Azerite Infusion damage vulnerability reduced from 200 to 150. That is the second boss of the dungeon. They're making now the mobs take less damage, but also they're making the channels faster, which pretty much means you have less reaction time to swap to the ad, and also the ad will take less damage, which is the main concern of that boss, because a lot of people don't swap to the ad to kill it, and if you don't kill the ad before the boss casts his AoE ability, you are gonna wipe. So they made the second boss much harder. I guess we're gonna see how that's gonna play out. However, the Resonant Quake initial cooldown slightly increased. Initial cooldown. So that means you're gonna have more time for it? Or I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to say with the initial cooldown. We'll see. Maybe the energy in between the Resonant Quake has been increased overall for every single Quake, but I guess we're gonna find out when testing, you know. Anyway, chat, I hope you guys appreciate the review. As you guys can see, a lot of people are still waiting for me here in the chat. The people are already typing even though I'm offline on Twitch. I'll see you guys on stream to keep on testing stuff. Remember, 5 days into the season, or sorry, 5 days into the patch comes in, or 4 days, depending on the region. And keep in mind, we're beating the Sunday tier list at 2 o'clock Central European time. There should be one more update in the March, the final update of the season, which I'm pretty happy to say so. Will be also sponsored by Twitch. We're gonna be on Twitch front page for it. So anyway, much love. I'll see you guys on stream. Peace out.